Of course, because I had watched the original Steins Gate anime, then of course I watched Steins Gate Zero anime. It was even when I wasn't into reading science adventure visual novels. Surprisingly, I didn't watch other science adventure anime, thankfully. Except the Occulting 9. But that was whenever I was into reading science adventure series. But for Occulting 9's case, there wasn't visual novel, so I watched its anime. And when Steins Gate Zero anime was an ongoing anime. And before now that I read Steins Gate Zero visual novel, I heard or read something along these lines like that to completely enjoy Steins Gate Zero anime, you need to read the visual novel of the same name before. Like I assumed Steins Gate Zero anime is a sequel to a visual novel, but then someone else said anime adapted only the true ending, or added more to true ending. So without referencing anime, I can't tell if anime with the same name is optional or not. And if it is an option, then this visual novel quality is lowered, because story continuations happens in completely different media, which I don't like. Apple Steins Gate Zero, it's basically the show and tell what led to and how they figured out to send a video message, which appeared at the end of Steins Gate, saying that this is the fault and occupy himself. Steins Gate Zero was developed by 5BB, which was under Mage, while now they say basically they developed this visual novel, and Mage themselves published it only in Japan, Cube in North America and Europe on PlayStation 4 and Vita, and Spike Jumpsuit worldwide for Windows, basically for computers and Nintendo Switch. And of course, I also a fan page from Committee of Zero for translation, for which there is some stuff that I don't like some inconsistencies, like when in Japanese girls are called sisters, then also in English they are called sisters. But when a boy is called brother in Japanese, of course form or brother of these roles, then in English he is called Mr. Like why there is inconsistency like that? If girls were called sisters in both languages, then the boy should also have been called brother in both languages. Then in English there is a sentence or more when in Japanese one word is said. Well, I know there's only one instance like that, and I didn't notice if vice versa happens. And then there is Sweden, for which I'm not sure if the Sweden fits or not. Okay, probably because Japanese doesn't have Swede words, so it is difficult to know if a Swede word fits or not in the situation.
Anyway, we've actually is he here?
This time, flash forward isn't as an intro, but the intro is basically the end of Steins Gate, but with some difference, which are shown. In this under Octopus first obtained saving courage, which he failed by even killed Courage by his own ends even is an accident. Then Mayuri comforts Okabe instead of slapping him, and then his Johnny Poe personality owning commentates at that point. Then he becomes a tester for AI4 after some time for his Korisu memories, while also in the background other people starting to remember events from different workplaces, which is assumed to be a new virus, while also Fortline shifts happens whenever someone tests a time machine. Then there is also searching for a missing person. And these events are split into operations called being made, where it is recorded Unlikable saying that they save the fault and incel, which was sent to Unlikable at the end of Steins gate. Well, of course, Unlikable being repressed that he couldn't save Korisho before reaching the point where on in coma is revived. But of course not in all endings, because this is a visual novel, or at least those endings don't show the message recording. Overall, it is an enjoyable story, of course, in which there are setbacks, which is more than just Akiba failing to save Koris. And of course no characters are introduced. Some have backgrounds together with Koris, others are all characters that get sprites here. Especially those who short way for which Steins Gate Zero films are Sherlock's. And of course the missing person is also a new character. So also from no characters there are set parts. About their perfectness, he only says about them. There is no attempt for him to download stuff, or at least say that didn't stay in my mind. Of course, as it is a science adventure strategy, there is perspective change, which is understandable for KS8 and maybe KS Shield, because those are about the oceans becoming real. But I don't see the point in having these in other science adventure entries other than for storytelling. At least in KS8 it was story reason, but for other science adventure series, it is just for storytelling. Well, maybe that reason is good enough for perspective change. Most of the visual novel is from Akiba's perspective, I think, but in some places the perspective changes to different characters. In some instances there can be multiple characters in either for perspective change, which doesn't include Akiba. Of course, the visual novel is flashbacks, not just to recent events that happen on screen, but to the original Steins Gate events, and to off-screen events. I guess what this visual novel is about, and it is understandable to have flashbacks to events from Steins Gate, and maybe it is a good implementation, not just to events from Steins Gate, but also how they are implemented. And of course there is romance mentions, including no characters. I guess only server levels mentions like teasing, because Unlikable allows chorus. Because it is a visual novel, not a kinetic novel, then of course there is interactivity, of course, and it still is a phone trigger. However, now it is using a smartphone, which is a touchscreen phone, of course. Now instead of emails message comes through a rain app. You can only answer to the first message in thread. Other messages can be automatically answered. And of course, the smartphone is also used for regular calls, which varies by situations if answering is a rated choice or not. And of course, after reaching certain point, then it is using the smartphone to talk with Amadeus Korisu. However, more or less just Amadeus stuff impacts on which road you are. So of course, under reaching one of the endings, I used a guide. Of course, Amadeus is AI with Gorisu's memories. Rain matches doesn't impact. Rain matches doesn't impact if you go on different roads or not, and maybe answering or not to any call might impact on what road you are. Of course, answering it or not to amend the skill will impact on what road you are on. I created on like there is interactive stuff that doesn't impact on which road you get on, but on the other hand it is easier to follow the guide. And without checking code, you could figure out which choice will impact or not on what road you get on. I guess only try and error, but I think with choices that don't change anything might confuse the reader. Different roads can have the same dialogue, but because they contain different chapters, then the same dialogue can't be skipped. Like, isn't there a way to skip the same dialogue if it is in a different chapter? Because a long time ago I tried making a visual novel on the server's level, and trying other coding stuff, I speculated there should be a way, like also tried making visual novel keeping that in mind. Anyways, more about Steins Gate 0. It seems this visual novel probably is a different art style. And probably that is true because if the artist becomes better, then the art style might change even a little bit. And of course this visual novel doesn't have just front sprites and back sprites but also side sprites. Well, at least for some characters. Speaking of sprites, of course, there is on sprites, which shows how he looks when he is represented. For when the perspective is changed to a different character. Overall, it is an enjoyable experience. Of course, with sad moments and with little actual choice which change the road. And no characters are interesting, especially for those closest to Korishu, who is also actor, woman. Okay, that's wrong joke, but whatever. Of course, it is recommended to read it only after reading the original Steins Gate. Maybe after reading it will be fine, but it was released later than Zero, and from what I heard, it is worse than the original. Like, from what I heard, it is a big chunk of the story is gone for it, and which script will be used for reboot. At least that comes from rumors, I think. But of course more about them when I make videos on those entries. And of course reboot when it will be released. So I'm not sure if reading Unlikable Zero will be good experience. But I guess for better experience will be reading the original Steins Gate before Zero. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, like the video, subscribe and comment. See you next time.